Meeting was published in the official newspaper, prominently posted in Borough Hall, and filed with the clerk's office in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting is a quasi-judicial proceeding. Decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must always be maintained. Any questions and comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We can do a roll call, but I am optimistic that we'll get at least one more member.
Only one member said that they wouldn't be attending, so I hope.
Yeah, hopefully someone will stumble in. All right, for now, let's just start with who is here. So, we'll keep track of this. So, Ms. Day?
Here.
Mr. Camporeale?
Here.
Ms. Odinsky?
Here.
Mr. Devine?
Here.
And Santaniello here, and we are currently missing Mr. Barrows, Mr. Bartlett, and Mr. Lau, who said he wouldn't be here tonight. Okay. Approval of zoning board meeting minutes from September 15th, 2025. Everyone received a copy in their email. Were there any comments or changes? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as distributed.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay. There we go. Correspondence. We have some correspondence provided during the course of the last 2 months. That is available on file in the Borough Construction Official's office if any are interested. Zoning board procedures. I think everyone is a veteran, but I'll read it anyway. The zoning board is a forum for property owners to apply for exceptions to local zoning ordinances. If what someone would like to do with their property isn't something the building department can approve, they can seek a variance via this process. The way we conduct these meetings follows the procedures laid out by the New Jersey Municipal Land Use Law, and that's what determines what can be said and when it can be said. Thanks in advance for your understanding and cooperation. Okay, swearing in of construction or borough officials. Is everyone still under oath from a couple of meetings ago?
I'll just swear them in again.
Sure.
If you could all raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. No new cases will be started after 10:30 p.m. At that point, we'll look for an appropriate break point. We have one resolution to memorialize. This is calendar 893-25, Bendian, 232 Camden Street. That is here. Everyone has a copy of it. Any changes or thoughts on that? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right. Let's do a roll call. Ms. Day?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Camporeale?
Yes.
Ms. Odinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Devine?
Yes.
I'll be a yes. Everyone else is absent. Okay. There we go. If you would be so kind. Okay. That brings us to calendar 891-25. Now, as we assessed just before, as we were getting ready for the meeting, this is a 5-vote requirement, right? And we have one member currently who needs to recuse himself from this case. I don't know if someone's going to walk through the door any minute, but we are where we are at the moment. Professionals, any recommendation on what we do next?
You wouldn't be able to take a vote, so
Can we listen, or should we
can you
stall? Okay.
Yeah, I'd call, because then whoever, if they come in 5 minutes late,
Right.
they're gonna have to listen to the tapes, because testimony will have started. You can't take a vote tonight,
Fair enough.
so.
Okay, all right. So if you don't mind, if you could wait, just let's see who Steve's able to get in touch with.
I think Steve said only one person.
Yeah, only one
confirmed
person.
They weren't coming.
Right, only one
I know
person
some people come
confirmed.
in a little,
Yeah,
sometimes it's traffic.
yeah, traffic is, please
really
use microphone.
Very
Oh,
bad tonight.
oh, is your mic on? Oh, you're on.
I think I just pushed it away from me.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And the only thing is, if we're going to move it, keep in mind that I think the next meeting is the Monday of Christmas. You may want to see who's going to be here.
Next,
Or thereabouts, or you may just want to find out, because if we could.
That's
start
a really
with
good point.
testimony and somebody could
Mr.
listen.
Chairman, if I may?
yeah,
Regardless of whether a fifth member shows up tonight, it
Mm-hmm.
would be my intention, if there are only 5, to complete the testimony, provide a transcript for the board, and ask for a vote at the next hearing, and not proceed on a vote tonight either way with only 5 members, but
Okay.
provide the testimony.
I think that's fair, right? Okay, the next meeting is December 15th, so that's cutting it close.
I don't know that I'm here, just so you
Okay,
know.
all right, that's fair. Let's see, okay, yeah, do you want to, all right. Let's just see what Steve came back with, if he was able to reach anyone, and then you can get going.
It's tomorrow.
I was surprised we.
People start to disappear. It's like Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday is a good night.
Yeah, are you going down?
No, I come to the office. I have to do the work.
So tell me about this. This is like an extra screen. You just click it on. I love that. I've never seen that.
That's cool.
I mean, I do.
You work on my couch sometimes.
We're taking advantage of the break, Mr. Chairman. I'm very interested in the second screen over here.
I've gotten used to 3 screens,
Yeah,
so then I like the laptop, but I need another screen.
Oh, I
But I usually don't bring it because it's really nerdy, but today I decided to.
It's really nerdy. I thought it was really exciting. What does that tell me?
we'll just give Steve a minute, just in case he's going to come in with some news about somebody arriving, but otherwise, yeah.
we went from not using it at all, now we need 2 screens.
Actually, it made things.
There's really nothing else to cover.
So you just clips right on. I've never seen anybody with it.
All right, why don't you go ahead? I guess at this point, anyone who's walking in now can just catch up on the recording.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're here again tonight on a continuation from a previous hearing we had. This is the already constructed senior restricted living, 62 and over, at 505 Kinderkamack Road. When you were here the last time, we heard from the property owner, Mr. DiDio. He's here again to testify, to answer any questions, so I do not intend to call him as a witness. In the interim, at the board's request, we obtained a planner, submitted a planner's report. I submitted a legal memo regarding the change in age restriction from 62 to 55. Our only witness tonight will be our planner, Mr. T.J. Ritchie from Stonefield Engineering, and at this time, I would like to call him as a witness.
Okay.
Chairman, I called both, went to voicemail, so
Okay.
no confirmation.
Okay, all right, we'll,
Just want to let everyone know that we do send out memos in regards to the meetings. We send out reminders, and then we send out a text message to remind also. No response.
okay. Yeah, we'll rely on the recording for anyone who's missed and if it comes to a vote next meeting. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Name is Thomas Ricci. Last name is spelled R-I-C-C-I.
And if you can give your business address and then Mr.
I know, I do.
Sure. I'm a planner at Stonefield Engineering and Design. Our office is headquartered at 92 Park Ave in Rutherford, New Jersey.
Thank you. Mr. Ricci, can you please give the board the benefit of your professional experience as a planner?
Yes, I am a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm also nationally certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. I received a Bachelor of Arts degree from Rutgers University, as well as my master's degree in city and regional planning, also from Rutgers University. I have been accepted as an expert witness in the field of planning in front of over 100 land use boards throughout New Jersey and New York. I regularly give planning testimony.
Yeah, we can accept you as an expert witness.
Thank you.
Mr. Ricci, were you obtained by our client to prepare a report in this matter?
Yes, I was.
Can you please describe the findings of that report as it relates to the change from 62 to 55 in the age restriction?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And just, I'll briefly go over, the project and the units as it stands now, and then I'll go into, my planning considerations. So as you've heard, it's the applicant is looking to amend the condition from 62 up to 55 up to open the pool of renters a little bit. This is a property, it's in the B2 zone, it's an office zone. This was granted previously a use variance. It's a 20-unit building. There's 8 one-bedroom units and 12 two-bedroom units, and there's an affordable component of this. 3 of the 1 bedrooms are affordable units. So tonight is just the amendment of a condition. So there's no physical changes to the buildings. The setbacks are going to remain. The coverage is going to remain. There's not a change in the number of units. There's not a change in the number of parking spaces. So the way that I look at this application, as I do with all applications, we as planners have to analyze what are the potential impacts from the change from 62 to 55. The first thing that we naturally look at is traffic. And I'm not speaking as a traffic engineer, but I reviewed the previous resolution, and what they did in their analysis was use the ITE Land Use Code 252, and that is for senior adult housing, particularly in a multifamily configuration. Now, we didn't submit, my firm did not submit a revised traffic or parking report because things would not materially change, because whether it's 55 or 62, they would use that same land use code. So from a traffic and parking perspective, it's a moot point, there's no change. When it comes to the zoning, as it was mentioned in the previous resolution, this is a less intense use than the other permitted uses, particularly the office. The findings of that resolution was that an office development would have more traffic than what we have here. And once again, I don't see any material changes because of it. So I think we have a less intense use than what could be permitted by ordinance. And I don't see the change in this amendment condition impacting that finding. One thing I did notice in the affordable housing ordinance, particularly section 61-3, is a definition section for the affordable housing ordinance, and they define age-restricted unit, and they define it as a housing unit designed to meet the needs of and exclusively for the residents of an age-restricted segment of the population, such that, and they give you 2 parameters. One is that the residents of the development are 62 and older, or at least 80% of the units are occupied by one person that is 55 years and older. So basically the definition doesn't take a firm stance on, it has to be 62 and up or it has to be 55 and up. Both of those options, both of those age groups would essentially qualify as an age-restricted unit under the affordable housing ordinance. And that's pretty common. That's what we see. Usually 55 is the prevailing standard for senior developments such as this. As it pertains to the master plan, I provided a goal in my memo, and that goal is goal number 3 in the land use section. It's to provide a variety of residential housing types and densities and a balanced housing supply in appropriate locations to serve the borough and the region. I think we're definitely still in line with that goal. I think the variety and balanced housing piece is actually furthered because we're opening it up to a slightly larger pool of renters. In my discussions with the applicant, it was very difficult to actually get this building fully occupied. I would say there's almost an imbalance because it's such a tight age restriction that would need to be able to qualify for this. So by opening it up, I think you actually have a larger pool of renters be able to actually use the building and carry out the benefits of this type of project, which were discussed during the previous resolution. And then lastly, I want to talk about the state zoning statute, particularly the municipal land use law. They talk about providing and encouraging the construction of senior citizen housing. That's purpose L of the MLUL, and that's something that's echoed in the master plan. I don't think that goal is being impaired. I don't think we go against it. I think we're actually furthering that because, like I said, we're opening it up to a slightly larger pool of renters to be able to have access to this type of housing. So really, these are the things that I look at. I look at the zoning, I look at the master plan. I can't distinguish between the difference between the two age groups. I don't see the amendment of this condition either going against the zoning, going against the previous resolution and the findings in that resolution. I think it actually does the opposite. I think there was, like I said, with my discussions with the applicant, it was tough to rent because it was a pretty strict, or I guess a smaller pool of applicants. And by opening up, you have a building would be, hopefully more occupied or fully occupied. It was partially occupied for a long time. So if you have a use that is essentially fully occupied because you open it up to a larger pool of renters, that's the achieving its highest potential of that use. And that's exactly what the housing goals say. That's exactly what the Affordable Housing Ordinance intends to do, is to maximize and achieve the full potential of that use, which I think we will if this were to be approved. That sums it up.
And so it's your opinion that the D variance, use variance granted by this board would not be impaired by the granting of this change in age restriction?
That is correct.
And this, as noted before, this change was, I don't want to say, I'm trying to think of the correct word, but it's contemplated by the previous resolution by inviting the applicant to come and seek a change such as this at a later date.
That is correct.
I have no further questions and submit Mr. Ricci to the board for questioning.
Okay. I know you mentioned there's no physical changes, so I'll just stop at Dave first. Any
I have
Lots
no
of questions.
questions of this witness.
Okay.
I'm sure Caroline does.
I was giving Caroline an extra minute to finish typing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
How you want to
I have a few questions.
take it over? Yeah, I figured you
Sure.
might. Okay.
Thank you for your testimony. I just want to make sure I heard something properly before I get into my report. I thought I heard you say the building was only partially occupied for a long time. That gave me the impression that the building is now fully occupied. Is that correct?
There are
did I mishear?
19 of the 20 units are occupied, but in the first 2 years, it was a slow climb to actually get the building fully occupied.
So today, November 17th, the 19 out of 20 units are occupied.
That is correct.
And they're all occupied, I'm assuming, with the correct age 62 and older? Is that correct?
Yes, they should be. That's my understanding.
So, I guess before I even get to my questions, I'm having a hard time understanding the ask, to be respectful. If you have one unit that's not occupied, isn't there often in a building the buildings aren't always 100% occupied. Has that one unit ever, let me backtrack. When was the building CO'd? Or approximately, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 6 months ago?
2 years ago.
Okay, so the building received CO 2 years ago, approximately.
Yep.
2 years ago, approximately. Is this the most that it's been occupied, 19 out of the 20 units?
Yes.
Yes, I think that perhaps we should recall Mr. DiDio for these questions as far as the timeline of occupancy of the building. Because he
Okay.
did testify to this in his when he testified previously.
I'm sorry, I think it was a couple months ago, and I just didn't recall, and I think I was caught off track by Mr. Ricci's comment about the building was only partially occupied for a long time.
I think we
I think we
shed
should
some
just
light on
call Mr. DiDio to
I'll tell you what,
discuss.
do you want me to ask him my other question
Yes,
since he's
that's
here? I mean, I don't want to, actually, it's your case. I don't
That's
want
fine, you can
to
ask,
compare.
you can ask his other, the other
Is
question.
that, I'll just go through my questions.
That's fine, yep.
So in looking at my report from October, actually, so you commented about the resolution, that the resolution, or perhaps, you know, the resolution indicated that if there was to be a change in the age restriction, that there'd have to be a return to the board. But there's also, at one point, the application was for a 55 and older, although I was not involved in that application. You had a different planner at the time. You had a substitute, like a conflict planner at the time. So I didn't attend any of the meetings. But the resolution indicates that there was a change made during the tenure of the application. So from a planning perspective, what changed, I guess, from the application? There was a change made during the application with the understanding of what was being done, I'm assuming, and now you're back. So I guess I'm trying from a planning perspective to see what was different. What's different, what's changed, or why, there was, like I said, during the application, there was an agreement made. And there was testimony given about from a demographics that are cited in the resolution based on 62 and older, or my reading of the resolution, 62 and older. So, and that was all considered as part of the use variance proof. So now, this is where my challenge comes in as a planner, because although I wasn't part of the application, so I don't have recollection of it, I can read the resolution, and the resolution to me states it started at one age restriction, the age restriction changed, and there was testimony specifically given about the age restriction that was approved, in particular demographics. So that's just something that I'm having a challenge with.
to respond to that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's a lot to unpack here.
You're right, it is a lot to unpack.
I wanna respond or, elaborate on that a little bit. So when we saw that, obviously in the resolution, it changed. The application originally came in at 55, at 55, and then it was changed to 62 and up. There wasn't a whole lot of items in the resolution that I could point to that made it clear this is why we made that change. So I just have the resolution to go off of, which is why I kind of do my own analysis checkboxes. I look at traffic, parking, the municipal land use law. So that was kind of how I arrived to my conclusions. If there is a reason, that we can find in the resolution and point to on why that change was made, I'd be happy to address it. Now, the demographics piece of it, I did look at the demographics. We looked at the census data, particularly the 2000 census and then the 2020 census, because we like to look at what are the trends in the population cohorts. And what we found is the census basically, they define each age group in 5-year increments. They start at under 5 years old, then they go 5 to 9, 10 to 14, and every 5 years up to 85. So we looked at 55 to 59, because that's really a large piece of what we're proposing to do here. And in the 2000 census, it was 6.3% of Oradell, and in 2020, it's 7.8%. So 6.3 to 7.8. So we see a pattern of growth from 2000 to 2020. Now that 7.8% in that 5-year window, 55 to 59, was the single highest age cohort in all of Oradell. The younger group of kids, it's about 5 to 7. Then in the 20 to 30, the millennial age, it's about 3 to 5%. Remember that we are 7.8%. It was the single highest. And then when you get up to 70 to 74, all the way up to 85 plus, about 2 to 4%. So it was the single highest age cohort of the population in 2020. And that is consistent with what the conversation that I had with the applicant of having those people, attracted to this building and wanting to rent it. So,
Okay.
So you're saying the demographics are important?
the demographics are important, yes.
Do you as a planner see differences with respect to the two age limitations and household activity? I mean, you testified about the ITE, et cetera, but just, household activity, employment characteristics, things like that. I mean, this is, I think one might say there's a large difference between a 55 and a 62-year-old, and they're, whether or not they're employed, whether or not, they go to work each day, if they're there if they live in the house full time, et cetera, things like that. I mean, do you see a difference in those age cohorts, or do you think that they're very similar?
I don't think there's a significant difference between how a 55-year-old and a 62-year-old would use their apartment. I honestly don't. Like, 62, we're still, retirement age commonly 65. Either age group could still, you could have a building of people that are all working. They're all employed still. You'd have people that retire early. That's usually, I don't want to say that there's a stark difference in rental, in behaviors of someone who's renting a property like this. The reality is you could get both. I know, in this day and age, a lot of people are working from home. And I would understand that, some people that are getting older, they do a more hybrid model and they're working from home more. That's something that could be taken into consideration. But do I see a stark difference between the two? No, I don't.
Anything else, Carolyn?
Yes, I think through my report. So this application request doesn't anticipate any change to the 3 affordable units. They would still be the same designated units with the deed restriction. There would be no change with respect to that?
That's correct. No change to that.
So there's currently 20 units and 40 parking spaces?
Correct.
Did your office do any type of study as to if the lot is filled at certain times of the day, not filled at certain times of the day, things like that?
We did not do a formal study, but I did visit the site prior to this hearing, and I like to do that. I like to think that it's convenient because people that would be working are typically home by this time because it's outside of business hours. And what I usually do is just do a quick spot count of the amount of cars in the parking lot, and there were 15 cars out there. And remember, the lot is 40 spaces, so the majority of it was empty.
And I would note at the last hearing, we had testimony from Mr. DiDio saying that the parking lot was at least half empty the majority of the time.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything else right now, but I might after the board members
Okay.
speak.
Sure, we can come back. Steve, anything?
Yes. There was significant discussions about the age restriction at the previous meetings, and that's why that change was there. If the applicant wants to go over the videos, we do have DVDs of that. So if they wanted to listen to those discussions, they're able to. The other thing is the resolution states that the lots were going to be merged, and we have no record of that in our office. Were they merged?
It is my client's belief that they were, though I did not handle that matter. But the tax assessor did say from their records that it was 2 lots. So we're happy to clean that up as either way, but certainly as a condition of approval.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay.
Although I will say, as far as the parking on the south side, I've never seen cars parked there. So there's, my opinion, there's enough parking.
Okay. Danielle?
I have no questions for Mr. Ricci. I do have questions, but not for this one.
Okay. Then we'll check with the board. Anyone? Anything?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So, Thomas, you talked about the census data for the 55 to 59-year-old group.
Yes.
What's the census data for the 62 and over group? I think you were talking about 2020 and maybe year 2000.
So the census data for 2020 as a percentage of the total, it doesn't have it perfectly for 62 because it's in the 5-year increments. So 60 to 64 is 7.1% of the population, and then 65 to 69 is 6.1%, and then it just goes down, gets less as you go up.
But I think part of it was the growth, right? The growth or decline, maybe, in the percentage of the population. So what were those similar percentages for the base year? I think there was 2000 or 2010.
The 60 to 64 group also increased from 4.8% to 7.1%. The 65 to 69 also increased from 8.4 to 6. Sorry, hold on. I'm trying to do this on the fly here. 4.8 to 7.1. Oh, 65 to 74 decreased from 8.4 to 66.1.
Okay. So, like, not having the raw numbers, at least the 60 to 65-year-old group increased probably more than the 55 to 59-year-old group, and you're saying the 65 and older decreased.
That's correct.
And I mean, I do agree with what Caroline said before, and I did take a look at some of the old tapes, as I mentioned, at one of our last meetings, and at least part of the testimony at the time was an increase in the percentage of the population in town in that age group that was 60 or 62 and over. So that seems to be the case, right?
Yeah.
And then you were talking about the municipal land use law. So is there a definition for what is senior housing in the municipal, or what's a senior citizen maybe?
They don't define senior housing in terms of age. They do define senior citizen. And it's defined as someone who's 62 or someone who is the spouse of someone who's 62, that is 55 and up. But what they really do is they make it so only one of the spouses need to qualify for the threshold, or if they were to pass and you lived with a spouse who's only 55 and they didn't meet the 62 threshold, they still have rights to live in the unit, to have rights to take over the mortgage or take over the house if someone was to pass. So that's what they define senior citizen as.
Okay, so there's no definition of what constitutes a person in senior housing.
Correct.
There's some stuff at the federal level, but those are different rules. And there is a definition of what a senior citizen is, which is 62 and over, right?
Correct.
So as I think part of what at least I'm thinking about is, again, when the application was originally approved, the case was made that this was senior housing, and senior housing under the municipal land use law, if I understand it correctly, is inherently beneficial, right? Now this, I'm not sure if this is senior, it's definitely age restricted, right? Some people might call 55 and older adult living, maybe they call it senior housing. I'm trying to understand if we're saying this is a 55 and older community is inherently beneficial, like what people might I don't know, generically think of as senior housing, which is probably older than that.
To the local ordinance.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to bring up, the affordable housing ordinance. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still think it's inherently beneficial because, as I mentioned, and this is my experience, is that the majority of the age-restricted housing projects we've done are 55 and up. And to support that, there's an affordable housing ordinance in this borough, and it says either someone who's 62 and up or 55 and up. Both of those would qualify as being considered as an age-restricted unit. Mm-hmm. So I think I just, having to read the ordinance literally, like, I would feel that either of those age groups would meet that
Well, it's
criteria.
definitely
for-
an age restriction. It's definitely, I mean, you can see how it's an age restriction, either 55 and over 62. My question is whether or not this is still senior housing. Or I don't know if our professionals have a view on that, too.
Well, the question is, are those synonymous?
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah,
So you think they are synonymous?
yes,
So 55 and older is senior housing?
that, yes.
And I guess I'd ask our guys if they agree with that.
I think that's yeah, I was going to ask the same question. You know, if 55 and 62 are the same in the eyes of you know, various documents, how do we get down the 62 road to begin with? So I guess I would ask the same question. Is, you know, we use the term inherently beneficial for land uses that are looked upon with favor by the municipal land use law. Is 55 and over in that inherently beneficial category, or is senior citizen housing inherently beneficial? Do we know the answer to that? I don't know.
So the only thing I'll comment on that, and maybe Mr. Gilson can comment on that, because he did produce a legal memo on it, and I know you referenced it. That's where I do have some questions on, because we do have questions on this legal memo and things that are in it, and just generalizations that were made, and I don't believe there were cites made, so maybe he could speak to that, and maybe you could speak some more about it, because we did request for additional information to be provided about this specific issue, the difference between 62 and older and 55 and older, and I don't believe we've gotten all the information, but maybe it could be supplemented in testimony.
Sure, I would say that it's our opinion that under the different statutes and the ordinances discussed, that there is no difference. And I would also say that I think when you're considering two separate things, when you're considering an application before the board of a building that is not built yet, and you're considering modifying a condition of something that has already been built. So when you're looking at why do we want age-restricted housing, why you know, you're looking at, we don't want school children for the most, not that we don't want them, but we don't want more of them on the
We got enough of them.
burden to tax, and we're concerned about if there's traffic and other sorts of those impacts. We've seen as the building exists now that neither one of those things are a concern. And it's Mr. Ricci's testimony that the granting of that inherently beneficial and use D variance, the things that would need to be shown that it's not going to create a negative impact, that those things are not going to change based upon the change to 55, and we can see that from how the building exists now. If we have a current situation where there's 40 parking spaces and there's testimony from now two witnesses that they're almost always less than half full, changing this restriction from 62 to 55, from Mr. Ricci's testimony and from, I would argue, common sense, the parking lot's not going to become full if a few of these units are changed from 62 to 55. What we are seeing from Mr. DiDio's testimony is residents of Oradell who want to move and downsize, stay in Oradell, but they're 60 years old. They're 61 years old. So who we're keeping out right now are those people. We're keeping out the people, and Mr. DiDio has provided testimony, I'm sure he can provide testimony on the specifics of those people. People in Oradell, they wanted to downsize and were not able to rent the apartment because of the fact that they did not meet this age restriction, but they would have met the 55 age restriction. So I think that there's an inherently beneficial value to the community in providing this housing for these residents if they're 60, 61, 59 years old. This arbitrary cutoff of 62, the issues that would exist as to why you would cut off at 55, those issues still, there's no difference legally, functionally, from a planning perspective in 55 to 62 when you're making that change. You're not going to see an influx of children. You're not going to see an influx of traffic. You're not going to see, frankly, a host immediately in how this building is rented out or ever. But you may see some, as the units turn over, residents of Oradell that are 60 years old, 59 years old, move into this building, and you'd be opening it up to that pool of applicants more. I think it kind of answered the question, but I'm open for more specific questions as well.
I have a follow-up question to that, because I didn't see, I know you mentioned case law, but none was cited, and so I have some follow-up questions on, like, your legal basis, but, so you're saying that there's no difference between 62 and older and 55 and older, so are the units, because you mentioned that there'd be a couple of units that would change, but it's really applied to the whole project, right?
Well, my point being that it's not going to be suddenly occupied by all 55 to 62-year-olds. So what I'm saying in practicality, maybe 20% of the units would have been occupied by 55 to 62-year-olds had this restriction been 55 from the beginning. It wouldn't have been that 100% of the units would have been from 55 to 62.
And then, so one of the reasons we asked for the legal memo is because my basic understanding, without diving in deeper, because we wanted the memo on it, was that there is a difference between 55 and older and 62 and older. Because when you have 55 and older, my understanding is that it's not just 55 and everyone older. There could be younger people. Is that correct or no? And then 62 and older, it's strictly 62 and older. But maybe I'm misunderstanding it.
I don't believe that to be the case, though we would accept the condition from this board that that there would be none under 55 in the units, which would alleviate that concern.
What does that mean, none under 55? I think
If the concern is that 55-year-olds are going to then bring 22-year-olds or 16-year-olds to live with them, then we can accept as much as permitted by the law that there be a condition that not be permitted.
So I think under HOPA, which you mentioned in your brief, that, I mean, there are certain restrictions, and I think only one person in the apartment needs to be 55 and older, right? Not both people. So I'm not sure you can, I mean, you have to, as you said, you could do whatever is within the law, but there, could be younger people living there. There could be even children living there, I think. I don't know that it's, that we're going to, massively increase the size of the elementary school because of it. But, yeah, there'll be, under the law, my understanding is that younger people will be allowed to live there once 55-year-old people are there.
And that's really what we had a question on, is what's the difference? And then what's if you would agree to a condition like that, I don't know if it's legal or not. So I think the board would need more information on if it is actually legal before we'd agree to let you condition it, and then turns out the law says that's illegal and it's age discrimination, let's say, and then you can do 55 and older, how it's written.
So the position is that currently if someone's 62, they couldn't have anyone living there that's under 62, but if we were to change it to 55, then they could have as many people.
I think that's HOPA. I think that's the federal regulation.
Yeah, my
Yes,
understanding is
HOPA.
it's 62, you have to be minimum 62. But again, that's why I need the legal memo.
So my understanding was the same, that if it's 62, as it currently is today, if it's 62, then everyone there needs to be 62. The spouses or whomever needs to be 62. My understanding also is that when you have 55 and older, that only 80% of the units need to be occupied by those 55 and older, and I think that's only one person 55 and older. That's
I
my
wonder if this had
understanding.
anything to do with...
Is that statutory?
Yes.
That's because it's HOPA, which is a housing for older.
I know what it is, but I'm asking you if that means 80, so we can't, if it's 80%, That's by statute. We can't change that. I mean, so if we wanted 90%, if we wanted to,
And that's what I don't know, and that's.
But I think the issue here is that we're also talking about a specific condition of one resolution.
But I don't know, like, that's where we would need the legal basis to be able to condition it on something like that, where you're saying, provided it's allowed by law, and we were specifically asking for a legal memo on HOPA, because I don't know HOPA, and that's something that is relevant to this application. So I don't know if we can condition it on that. I think it's something the board would be interested in.
But the restriction that's placed upon this application is specific to this application and states 62. It doesn't state that it's based on any particular statute. So if we were to move the stipulation to 55, I don't see why all of a sudden certain statutory issues would kick in.
wait a minute, is what you're saying that because this resolution is conditioned on 62, that somebody 62 could be there with somebody who's 32? Is that good? Based on what you just said, that's the way I understood it. We're saying that the law says that if it's 62 and older, both parties have to be over 62. Your memo says that. But if you're saying this resolution is only based on 62, it still has to be based on some law. And if we're not following it, then by your own wording, somebody 62 could be there with somebody 42, and I think we all know that that's not the case. Am I wrong?
I think what this seems to keep coming back to is that it would be great for this board and our current professionals to know how we got to 62 to begin with. What was the motivation? Maybe this thing that we're bringing up right now could be part of that. So, with 55 and 62 being only 7 years apart, is this, and I'm sure it has something to do with infrastructure, drivers, school-age children, but I'm just speculating, but it would be great to know from the original application what landed us at 62, and is that because of this restriction that all residents would be 62 and up, as opposed to the possibility of a wider variety of ages. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to know, either from our own professionals or whatnot, what are the requirements regardless of what happened in the other resolution?
Yeah.
If we're saying 62 and older, do both people have to be 62? If we go to 55 and older, are we prohibited by any statutes of what Mr. Gilson had suggested, which is they'll say that nobody under 55 will live there? I don't know if we can or cannot do that legally, but I'd like to find out either from the applicant or whatnot what we can or can't do, so I can better understand what restrictions we may or may not be putting on if we're looking favorably towards changing this. And I just don't know the answers to those questions.
So what I will say is, and I think I'm echoing what your attorney said, my limited understanding of this is that, as we've heard, there's two categories, 55 and older and 62 and older. And 62 and older, my understanding is that is a requirement and that everybody in the unit needs to be 62 and older. I have heard that there may be if you have a caregiver who, comes and goes infrequently, they can be a different age, but 62 and older. And my understanding also is with 55 and older that it's one person in the unit, and once you get to a certain number of units, then a percentage does not need to be 55 and older. Yeah. I think I have that in my
So that would be great for everyone to get clarity on. Exactly. Like if we can be 100% sure that that's the case, or if we ended up getting a correction on that, I think that'll help everyone. That's kind of where my head is at too. Anything else? Any other questions from the professionals come up in the meantime?
I just have one question, just to your point, Mr. Chairman. Did you want Mr. Gilson to do that research, or do you want the board attorney to do that? Because we don't typically do that. It comes out of escrow unless we're directed to. And I just want the applicant to be aware unless they want to provide it.
I guess whatever is procedurally more correct, I'll go with your.
I would think that they would provide it and you review it and comment on it.
Is that fair?
Fair enough.
Okay. Okay, we covered professionals, we covered the board. Anything left from the board? No, it's easy to just look one direction. Members of the public. Is he moving? Okay, all right. For this witness and this testimony only, please.
Yes. My name is Paul Latsunas. I live at 50 Beverly Road. Latsounas is the spelling of my last name. Okay. You mentioned the units, and I didn't catch exactly how many are two-bedroom units.
12 of them are two-bedroom units, and 8 of them are one-bedroom units.
I'm sorry, what?
12 two-bedroom units and 8 one-bedroom units.
12 two-bedroom units. Okay. Okay. Are you trying to tell me something?
Pick the microphone up.
Oh, because, yeah, all right.
You were talking over it.
Okay. I mean, I listened to the discussion and the questions here, and the thing is, are we discriminating? Can we discriminate by allowing people to be less than 62 right now? Would we be discriminating against the people that are less than 62 right now, as it stands?
I think that's probably more of a legal question, but that's been the crux of the discussion that we're trying to figure out is it legal to do so and impose the condition of keeping it at just one age group and that age group only?
Well, the thing is, there was a lot of confusion to me because of what we're saying. Like, they're saying that it's 62, they have to be 62 and over, the people that live there. Now, is that true? I don't know. I mean, from the discussion that we had, I don't know if we know that.
If the residents have to be 62?
And older. And
Yes,
you can't be
that was
less than 62.
And that was associated with the previous approval. That was what was decided in that first approval.
That's what's right now?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But if somebody is 62 and they have a child that may be 17, they're not allowed to be there, right? Or is that discrimination?
That's
I think that's what we're trying to figure out.
This is my
now.
question, you know, because I think this is what the whole matter is. Is it discriminatory to say that, or
Are you asking what the law says, or are you asking what the current the current approval on resolution on?
well, the
file?
current? I know what the current is. The current is 62 and older. They said they just said this here tonight that you have to be at least 62, both people, right? But practical and what happens in life, it could be different, right? So if it could be different, is this unconstitutional, what we have now? Are we discriminating right now against people that are younger?
So you're looking at me, I'm not a lawyer, but no, because HOPA permits it, the Housing for Older Persons Act. No, I don't believe that there's discrimination going on in this situation right now. But I'll defer to the lawyer.
No, because there isn't anybody right now that's less than 62 living there, right? Can you vouch for that?
As the witness said, there shouldn't be anyone there. There shouldn't be. They should all be at least 62 and older. So I can't answer that.
Well,
if you're questioning, though, I think you're questioning the legality of senior housing in general. This is what you're saying. You know, I'm pretty sure, you know, again, not a lawyer, not making a legal assessment here, but my guess would be it's okay. Because there's plenty of senior housing out there.
It's okay for,
To age restrict.
oh, to age restrict.
Yeah.
Okay, but we don't really know the legality, so I think that's what we
one of the
should
things
find
that
out.
we need to
I think we should find out before any
That's-
decision is made,
it's on the list.
you know? And the fact that you got 12 two-bedroom apartments there, you know, I mean, you could have a family living there with a two-bedroom apartment. If, you know, if it is discrimination or not discrimination, that's what really what we, what the
Plenty of
point is.
age-restricted developments
Yeah.
have two-bedroom units. It's very common, actually.
Any other questions for this witness?
There was some other things, but I'm going to let it go for now because we're going to
Thank
talk
you.
about this again, right?
I'm sure we will.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other members of the public? All righty.
Cynthia Chevalou. You need me to spell it?
Yeah, could you please?
S-H-E, V as in Victor, E-L-E-W, 654 Ellen Place.
Thank you.
So I was at the original hearings
Okay.
about this, and
Keep in mind, we're just doing questions, not additional testimony.
So you stated that you didn't think there was any difference between someone who's 55 and 62. But someone who's 55 could have a 10-year-old, and someone who's 62 probably would have kind of like an adult child. Is that right?
I mean, that's possible, yes.
Yeah. So, all right, maybe I should save my comments for afterwards because I do have a lot to say.
Okay.
But
There will
there
be
was
public
a
comment.
big discussion during when the first application was made about the age restriction and why they concluded that 62 and older was the best thing.
Okay. Yeah, and that's fair. And that's why we're asking. I mean, most of this board is new. I had to recuse from that case, so it'll be good for all of us to hear that.
Okay, so I'll save my comments till the end when I can say what I want.
Okay. All right. Any other members of the public? I don't see others. Okay, we will close public question at this point. Do you have another witness?
I believe Ms. Ryder had a question for Mr. Didio regarding the lease-up of this property, so I would call him for no more testimony, but just to answer that question.
Thank
That's
you.
fair.
And any
Yeah.
other questions that the board may have.
I would
obviously.
appreciate that,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Chairman.
Mhm.
I know we saw you in July, I believe,
Yes.
but I'm gonna just swear you in anyways, because it's been a while. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you could just state your name for the record.
Thomas DiDio, 11 Cranberry Lane, Montville, New Jersey.
Okay, so we're directly addressing Caroline's questions?
Yeah, if I could say, this is not a senior project. This is an age-restricted project. So when we got this approved, it was approved as an age-restricted project, not a senior project. And we started off at 55. The town wanted us to go to 62. It was an office building site, which we took down and improved greatly in the town. Looks a terrific building. Looks great, so much more than what it was before. But in order to get it residential, they wanted us to go, we asked for 55, they said, would you do 62? I'm only building 20 units. I thought I would lease 20 units in like a matter of months. Took me 2 years because I had 100 people who wanted to be from 55, they were like 55 or 60, but they weren't making 62. and we had to turn them away. And it was very difficult. So, I mean, I got 19 units leased now after 2.5 years of trying to lease the building. You know, we try to be a good owner in town. We pay taxes, but it's, you know, when you're 50% lease, it's hard to pay the taxes. So,
Thank you. So, in the interim, I found my notes from when you were here in July. Thank you. So in July, you indicated you had 17 units leased. So I guess.
July. So we did 2 since then, and I lost 1, because at one time it was 20, and we lost 10 because they left. And when you lease, when you lease an apartment building, it takes you like from start to finish maybe 30 days when they leave, and it's occupied in Bergen County. My building, it takes months.
Do you know, out of your applicant pool, I guess how many applicants you've had and how many of those have been within the 55 to 62? In other words, the age group that you're hoping to gain.
Over 100.
So you've had 100 applications.
At least since I started, and they didn't qualify because they were like 55. They were younger than 62 and older than 55.
How many?
Could have filled the building 4 times over.
I'm sorry, say that
I could
again.
have filled my building 4 times over.
Do you know how many applications you've had in total?
I use a leasing firm, but he looked. I could go back, but it was well over 100.
No, I mean, how many applications have you had? I'm trying to figure out have you had, 3,000 applications
No.
and 100 have been in this age
Maybe.
group, or have you had 150 applications and 100 were in this age group? That's what I'm trying to
tell
figure
you,
out.
somebody who's 62 and wants it and qualifies, I usually take them. And there are some people from town, and some people a lot of people who sell their houses in town go to Florida. They just don't stay here. So it's like, it's not always people from Oradell. So there was a lot of interest because it's a very attractive building, but a lot of people just can't qualify because they're 58 years old, and I tell them, sorry, you got to be 62.
Okay, so you think you've had 100 applications that were within that age group, but we don't know total what your number of applicants have been?
No, I don't have that number.
Okay.
Was there any,
That's my
that was it?
question. Thank you, yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to cover while you're here? Additional testimony?
I don't believe so unless Mr. Dio has anything to add, but I think he's covered the issue of leasing up the property, how long it took him, the amount of applications that he had to deny between 55 and 62, and a lot of those members were Oradell residents looking to downsize. I don't think there's really anything else that he can add at this time, though I submit him to the board for questioning.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll, strictly on this additional bit of information, is there any new questions?
Maybe just one question, Tom. So if this was a 55 and over community, how quickly do you think you would have leased it up based on your experience? So it's taken you over 2 years, which does seem like an extended period of time. What's your expectation?
3 months from being finished, 3 months.
3 months after you got the CO.
Yeah. And, if I go to 55, I will, be 55 people, that's it.
That was going to be my next question. Obviously, with the caveat of
Is it legal?
Would you be willing to accept a condition of this resolution that all residents of the building will be over 55 years old?
Sure. I have no problem with that.
Just so I don't have to recall him for that
Okay.
issue.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I guess, is it legal is going to be the big question. But, okay, thank you. That's good to know.
I run the building, right? So if I wanted to put people into 55, I can put people in 55. I mean, it's not market. I'm not doing a market rate building. This is, I have market rate properties. It's 55 and older. I'll just, you just have it. There's an age restriction. It's not senior housing. It's not a senior housing project. I know what senior housing is. It has to do with, there's things like, acute care kind of thing. This is just an office or an apartment building that it's age restricted.
And I think this is kind of the distinction I was discussing before, that this is a condition of a resolution. It's not necessarily based upon a senior housing qualification as you would get bonus credits for affordable housing or something like that, that this is an age restriction based on the
Right.
MLUO.
Okay.
So that I understand your last statement, or the second to last statement, if it's legally permitted, you're stipulating that if the board approves this resolution change for 55 and older, that there would be a further deed restriction that no one could live in the unit who wasn't 55 or older in every 100% of the units, even though we believe that there is a lesser standard for 55 and older. You're indicating that you won't want to utilize that every single resident every single person in those units would be 55 or plus.
Everybody that signs a lease with me it's got to be 55 or older. If they have, if they're 55 and they have a daughter who's 12, is it legal for me to tell a daughter she can't live there? If the mother is 55 and she signs a lease with me and her daughter is 12, do I decline them?
And that's what I think our question is for Mr. Gilson is.
I have 20 units, right? Right now, I have, my average age is 78 years old in that building. How many people am I going to put in there that are between 55 and 60? Well, I have 3 or 4 or 5. We're not talking about anything that's going to move the needle in Oradell.
But I also just want you to be aware that the condition that was being discussed and that Mr. Gilson was talking with you would be, if it's permitted, like legally, that the restriction would be 55 and older. So if someone has a spouse that's 50, that's not permitted. If someone has a grandchild that's 3, that's not permitted. So before you agree to a condition like that, while we're still trying to figure out if that's even legally permissible, I just want you to be aware of the ramifications of that.
I'd have to approve of that.
And to add on to that, your comment about, I think the average age, you said the average age is 78, and, it's not going to, I understand what you're saying, that should the board approve this application, that at the next meeting in December, that in March, your whole building isn't going to turn over and be 55 and 56-year-olds. It's just not a natural occurrence. However, should the board approve the application, this is now in perpetuity, and you could also, while you're making a certain stipulation, you could sell the building, respectfully in 6 months. So the board is approving this for the building and the use, with the understanding that that's going to be what this building and use will be in the future, regardless of who owns the building, who is leasing it, et cetera. And I think that's where a lot of the questions are also coming from, is that this is a forever kind of thing, so to speak. It's not as long as you own the building. So that's, everyone's just trying to make sure that they understand the situation.
Yep, fair.
I agree. I think that obviously we're not taking a vote on this tonight, and we'll have the answer to what condition is legally permissible by the next meeting.
Sounds good, yeah. Okay. Any other board or professional questions on this most recent testimony? Well, any public questions on? Yeah? Okay. Remember, we're only discussing this very little bit of content that was provided.
Mr. Didio, when you put it on the real estate market, you advertised it, right? How did you advertise it?
We advertise it through the Tudor Realty is my broker, and we advertise it through apartments.com.
Apartments.com, that's it? You didn't say that there's an age restriction?
It's in, if you look in apartments.com or you look in Tudor Realty, it says it's age restricted.
Age restricted. Okay. Thank you.
Any other public? Good for now? Okay, all right, we'll close it to the public. Any other content you want to provide tonight?
We have nothing more to provide at this time. Obviously, we'll be carrying to the next hearing.
Okay, we will ask the remaining board members, again, apologies for the attendance, but we'll ask everyone to get caught up on the recordings so that we're in good shape for the December 15th. Yes, December 15th meeting. Okay. All right, thank you, and we'll see you in a month.
So just for the public, this hearing is going to be carried to the December 15th hearing. There's going to be no further notice published or sent to anyone within 200 feet.
Yes, thank you. I knew I forgot to say something. Okay. All right, with that, we will move on. Am I forgetting anything else? Okay, all right. With that, we'll move on to old business. Any old business? Moving on to new business. The only new business I'm aware of is that we all got our invitation to complete our cybersecurity training. I think it's due in March, but don't quote me on that. It's due soon. It's due sooner than we probably want it to.
Chairman?
Yes.
Did you want to open to the public?
Do we usually do that
Yes.
now?
At the end.
At the end, right? Yeah, right after new business, right? Okay. Yeah, so cybersecurity training is the only new business. Any other new business?
So I haven't gotten a notification.
Two of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who can help us with that?
Gabby can, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
For some reason,
All
two of
right.
us don't get those.
Yeah, Gabby.
You don't get the emails because it doesn't go to your borough email?
I haven't gotten anything on cybersecurity. If we've gotten anything in the last month and a half, I haven't gotten anything.
So I get the.
I think it was before that, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
we'll
there were
check.
other trainings or other things, other sign-offs we
Yeah.
needed to do. For some reason, the two of us aren't getting
At
them.
the end of October.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that would be good to check.
We'll follow up with her. Thank you.
Okay. All right. With that being it for new business, let's open it to the public. Public comment. Not about the application, of course.
Paul Atsunis. This is about the combination of the boards that's going on, right?
Excuse
now.
me, Chairman, I think a woman had a comment in regards to the application.
Can we discuss the application
What is,
in public, general meeting public comment, or do we have to wait till the end of the application for public comment about the application?
So I don't think there's anything that would restrict you from coming up. I don't think it would be considered for any deliberation during the hearing. This is just a general public time, but I know you're here, and if you wanted to say something
want to
now.
come on up now? You can come on
But
up now.
I just
and I'll go
want to
later.
also caution you to, if you have something to say that you want to be considered during the hearing, to come back at the December 15th meeting.
And say it again.
Yeah. Yes.
Just be-
coming since June, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just, I don't think there's any more testimony, but if there was, we would have to open the application to public comment on the application at the end of the application, just before we vote. This part of the program is just general topics.
Okay, so I
So-
can phrase it generally
Feel free.
when you're done.
Come on up.
Oh,
I'll let you go first.
thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Paul. And I also just want to, this is not sworn testimony, or usually when it's public comment time, I swear people in, and it's,
Yes.
then the board can consider it, so this is just statement.
Yes. Let's see, how can I phrase this? When a variance is granted originally, that is the reason for approval of a building in Oradell. That it's being able to be built under conditions that were first made. When someone comes back to the board to change that condition, I think it sets a really bad precedent. Let's see, how can I rephrase this? Right, because that building may not have been built in the first place if the requirements of that building weren't met. So once it's built, if an owner comes back to the board to change those requirements, I think it sets a really bad precedent. There's going to be a lot of building in Oradell to meet our obligation, and there's going to be a lot of apartments for all ages in Oradell. So I just feel that dedicated age-restricted apartments are a big need, and whether they can rent at the rate that's posted, or maybe the rent is too high and needs to be more affordable for seniors. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Paul Asunas, getting back to the planning board problem with the zoning board, of combining the boards. My feeling is I want more people to be involved, and I would like to keep it the way it is, because the more people we have more insight, more opinions. And I'm hoping that you will also, as a zoning board, stand up for that you should keep your positions and not, in other words, be part of a new board or not part of the other board. I don't want you to. I want the people to stay there, to have more insight, more input on things. And that's really what I wanted to say. If you want to discuss it, we can discuss it.
I mean, as you know, that's a decision of the mayor and council. You know, I mean, I guess we appreciate your vote of confidence in us being here. Yeah. I don't know how we do without the salary from this job.
I know.
But we will, you know, we'll listen in, and we'll. You know, I did attend that same meeting with you.
Yeah, I was there.
So
I was there. But
we obviously are paying. You know, it's something that we're paying attention to. But you know, that's mayor and council territory.
The only thing that's really hurting the situation is when people don't show up. That's the bad part about it.
Attendance has been a challenge.
You know, and you know,
That's one of the reasons they merge boards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, you know, at one time I had volunteered, but nobody wanted to accept my application. So there are people that were put out because of different opinions. They didn't like what I said or how I come about saying, but I have qualifications that a lot of people don't have, that people don't even know, and I set them down, and the mayor at the time, not this mayor, never responded, and that was it. And politics plays a lot in this too. So, hopefully we stand strong, zoning board. Don't let them take you down.
All right, thank you. With the entirety of the public having spoken, we will close it for public comment. And I think that brings us to, do we have a motion to adjourn? All right, do we have a second?
That's what I'm here for.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agriculture is changing. Some farmers are moving away from planting monocultures in their fields and choosing more genetically diverse crops. But will the foods of the future even still be raised on farms? Or will production move to labs, where meat is now being grown in bioreactors? Or maybe saltwater environments with algae farms cultivating next-generation vegetable biomass. Foods of the future and much more, this time around on Tomorrow Today.
Vegan tuna made from algae. That's the star of the show in the test kitchen of Berlin-based startup Betafish. The firm has been selling the fish alternative for a few years now. We'll make tuna pasta with asparagus. Just add the diced green vegetable, tomatoes, and a can of the vegan tuna, which is made from a range of ingredients. It's now a mixture of northern European seaweeds from Norway, Ireland, and Sweden, while the fibrous texture comes from fava beans and peas. Then we add a little more vegetable and cereal fiber and vegetable extracts to round off the taste and give it that special texture you associate with canned tuna fish. Real tuna has big drawbacks. Stocks are overfished using brutal methods, and it contains high levels of mercury. About 80% of the catch ends up in the can. The vegan imitation looks kind of like the real thing, but is it really any cleaner? The startup seaweed only spends 8 weeks in the water, but the whole time it also sucks up substances from the environment like a sponge. We select seaweed that has acceptable intake levels of heavy metals, but we also reduce those by blanching it, making it safe for consumption. There are certainly more ways to reduce this even further, which would allow us to eat more algae. But there's still a lot of research ahead. It'll be exciting. Just blanch the seaweed? So just drop it briefly in boiling water? Does that really get rid of heavy metals? It would be great if it were that easy, but I'm a bit skeptical. Anne Fricke is an algae specialist who conducts research for the Food for Future project at the Leibniz Institute of Vegetable and Ornamental Crops, and she's developing a system that allows her to grow kelp free of any contamination from heavy metals. What's new, of course, is what we're doing here at the Institute. We no longer use seawater at all, but rather deep brine, saline groundwater. We're pioneers in the field in Germany. Anne Fricke cultivates her algae in naturally occurring salty groundwater, studying how it develops in what are called climate chambers in different light and temperature conditions. Our work is aimed at opening up seaweed cultivations for urban areas, so moving away from the coast and producing fresh, healthy algae biomass inland for use in food and other applications like cosmetics. After receiving assurance that the vegan tuna is safe to eat in small quantities, it's time for a taste test. What do people think? Tasty. Delicious.
It tastes like a regular tuna.
It smells and looks just like the meat we all know, and supposedly tastes the same too. Until now, only a handful of people, mostly researchers, have tried meat cultivated in a lab, but that could soon change. In the Netherlands, what's called a cellular farm is in planning. The goal is to produce meat on-site in bioreactors with donor cattle living happily ever after.
Leon Moonen is a fourth-generation farmer. He's proud of his organic farm. But even though tradition is important to him, he set himself a very modern goal: culturing his own meat in a bioreactor as soon as he can, using cells from his cattle. He first heard about cultured meat over 10 years ago. and the idea piqued his interest straight away. I was immediately fascinated by the possibility of producing meat without killing the cows. Though I also think that what we do is a very natural thing. We leave the animals in their natural environment. We let them graze and they can do what they were born to do. And as a farmer, I also continue to do what I like to do. The idea of producing more meat with fewer cows and without having to slaughter the animals wouldn't leave him alone. During workshops on the topic, he got to know people at Respect Farms. It's a project working to become the world's first cellular farm of its kind, with the goal of proving that cultivated meat can also be produced on conventional farms. Leon Moonen's farm is serving as a model for what this futuristic farm could look like. One of the co-founders of Respect Farms is Florentina Ziglovsky. She's currently involved in clarifying future prospects for farmers in a feasibility study that's being co-financed by the EU. The Swiss farmers cooperative FINACO also supports the project. It warns that as the sector grows, it's important to ensure farmers do more than just deliver raw feedstocks. Instead, Ziglovsky wants to offer them real alternatives to conventional meat production. I see the greatest opportunities in our own production. We're pursuing research in 3 different areas. The first is biopsies, so the biomass, the nutrient medium. And then there's the bioreactor, so our own production. And I especially see many opportunities in production for farmers to produce their own meat, not just to donate cells or raw materials, but also to get involved in production themselves. The project is also supported by Dutch startup Mosa Meat, which made headlines in 2013 with the world's first hamburger made from lab-grown meat to be tasted on camera. That single patty cost around 325,000 euros to make. The price to produce one has since fallen to around 10 euros per burger. The company opened a new production facility in 2024. After years of research and millions of euros in investment, it's ready to hit the market with products. Mosa Meat's Chief Business Officer Tim van der Hoyt is also here today. The company has been involved in the Respect Farms project as well.
Cultivated meat is a whole new industry that's finding its feet at the moment, and we have the opportunity